Nobody puts baby in a corner. Grossi Posse Packer Nation. Welcome to an episode of Packcast, the podcast where you don't have to be a Packers fan, but it sure does help. I'm your host, Tom. A week and a half until the draft, and then everyone can overreact. Grossi, and today we're going to be taking a look at 5 corners that the Green Bay Packers could potentially target in day 2 of the 2021 NFL Draft. Before we get to that, I want to do a big shout and thank you to some brand new patrons and YouTube members. First, on the Patreon side of things, we have Wumbo Lombardi. A big shout and thank you to you. And on the YouTube side of things, we have Absolute Illusion. A big shout and thank you to you. So last week, I put out a video that detailed 3 corners the Green Bay Packers could potentially take in the first round. It's okay if you miss it. Almost everyone did. And today I decided, well, let's give the people what they don't want more of, breaking down more corners. Because listen, I'm going to have to do it anyway, so I might as well record it and put it out for the masses for the 6 people that decide to watch it. So, without wasting any more time, let's get down to business. Numero uno. And this is actually a guy who I think the Packers could wind up taking at the end of the first round, and I actually wouldn't hate it. And that is Javon Holland, who is listed as a safety, but has also played a whole lot of slot corner. At 6'1", 207 pounds, this guy fascinates me. There have been comparisons between him and Charles Woodson, which I immediately perk up and I go, oh, really? In addition, it reminds me of Micah Hyde potentially doing that safety whole corner kind of dance, and that he's so versatile, and throw on top of that this guy is an athlete and can be used all over the field, and he can solve a whole bunch of problems in one go. Already I'm intrigued. But let's break down his stats. In 2018, played 13 games, had 31 solo tackles, 5 interceptions, and 6 passes defended. In 2019, played 14 games, had 40 solo tackles, 4.5 of them for a loss, 4 interceptions, and 1 touchdown with 4 passes defended. He did opt out of the 2020 season. Now, here's what I love about this guy. There's the versatility. He has great size. He has the best slot coverage grade over the past 2 seasons. So yeah, this guy can play corner. He's good at run defense. He can return kicks, and he's got great instincts. There's so much to love about this guy. So yes, while he primarily plays safety, the fact that he can play slot, and Oregon just let him go back there, and they're like, oh yeah, you can cover because you'll be just fine. Now, where are the potential negatives? In 2020, didn't play any games, so there's obviously a concern that you haven't seen him play for a season. He's also not the fastest guy in the world. But overall, I don't think Javon Holland, if he even makes it into day 2, is going to last very long in the second round. Where I would love to see the Packers target him if they trade back into the second round and they're able to pick him up with their first pick, I would absolutely love it. I also wouldn't hate it if they get him at 29. Out of all the guys on this list, this would be the one guy I'd be okay with picking in the first round. Joe Barry would be able to utilize him so much as a weapon. We already have such great safeties in Darnell Savage and Adrian Amos. You throw another one back there who can also play corner. I think you could just have a lot of fun with that. Number 2, you got Tyson Campbell from Georgia at 6'1" and 193 pounds. Let's talk about this guy. In 2018, had played only 4 games, had 29 solo tackles, had a half tackle for a loss, 1 pass defended, and 1 forced fumble. In 2019, only played 7 games, had 9 solo tackles, another half tackle for a loss, 1 sack, and 4 passes defended. And finally, in 2020, played 10 games, had 20 solo tackles, 2.5 for a loss, 1 interception, and 5 passes defended. I don't expect him to go in the first round, but here's some of the positives about him. I like him in man coverage. He's super duper athletic. He actually has some experience playing safety back in high school. He has some really damn nice speed. Where are there concerns? Well, he has some injury concerns, and on top of that, there really isn't a whole lot on the stat sheet. Like, he's always around the ball, and when I was looking at his tape, like, I saw that, but like there's not a whole lot here. So the lack of productivity is like a little bit concerning. I think he's athletic enough to definitely go in the second round, and if the Packers are still there at the very end, I wouldn't hate this pick. I love the value for round 3 and would be really, really happy if we were able to pick up Campbell there. I don't know if I'd feel entirely comfortable of him being the first corner off the board for the Packers. I think that they really should be spending their first round pick or their really early second round pick if they trade back on a corner, and I don't think that would be Tyson Campbell, but if they decide to double down and pick up 2, I think Campbell would be a nice second. Number 3, you got Aaron Robinson from Central Florida, because you can never have too many Aarons on a roster. In 2018, played 5 games, only had 8 solo tackles and 1 pass defended. 2019, 12 games, 34 solo tackles, 4.5 for a loss, 1 interception, 9 passes defended, and a forced fumble. Yeah, he did it all in 2019. In 2020, he played 9 games, had 31 solo tackles, 1 for a loss, 6 passes defended, and again, another forced fumble. Now, he's 5'11", 186 pounds, and listen, he is another guy who has some great speed. What I really liked about his tape is that he knows how to tackle. That is one of those things that I am very, very adamant on, especially if we're utilizing these corners in blitz packages. The thing is that I saw that I didn't like is he gets beat on some plays. Wide receivers are able to get a bit of separation from him. So while I do love his aggression and speed, I would love him in round 4 if the Packers decide to draft a corner early and then decide to go on day 3 to potentially get another guy. I think Aaron Robinson could be good, but I will say him getting beat on those routes did concern me. Number 4, we got Ifatu Melafonwu. Yeah, I totally practiced that name a whole lot. From Syracuse, and this is one of my guys who, if we are able to get in the 3rd round, I think is a home run. I think that this guy has so much potential. I love watching his tape. I love watching him play. There are some injury concerns, but let's talk about it. In 2018, played 4 games, 14 solo tackles, 1 for a loss, and 6 passes defended. In 2019, played 9 games, had 16 solo tackles, 1 for a loss, 2 interceptions, and 7 passes defended. And then in 2020, played 10 games, had 43 solo tackles, 3 for a loss, 1 sack, 1 interception, and 6 passes defended. This guy was productive. He's 6'2", 205 pounds, has great size, is a nice tackler. I mentioned before, I think that this is one of those guys that has a ton of potential. He did have injuries in 2018 and 2019, which prevented him from playing full seasons, which is a little bit of a concern. And while I do think he has a shot of potentially going at the end of the 2nd round because of all of his tangibles, he's another guy in which receivers were able to really get some separation from him. And he was playing off man. Yeah, there was a big buffer there. He was socially distancing before it was cool. If that's able to be cleaned up, I think that he could be a really nice corner too. I think you get him behind a guy like Jair Alexander and you can make some magic. I would prefer he went in round 3. If he drops to round 4, even better. And finally, number 5, you got Eric Stokes from Georgia at 6'1" and 194 pounds. In 2018, Stokes played 9 games, had 16 solo tackles, 1 tackle for a loss, and 9 passes defended. In 2019, played 13 games, had 30 solo tackles, 1 for a loss, 1 sack, and 9 passes defended once again. And finally, in 2020, played 9 games, had 14 solo tackles, 4 interceptions, 4 passes defended. And by the way, 2 of those interceptions were pick 6s. The thing that's going to stand out about Stokes is his speed. How fast is he, Tom? I'm glad you asked. Ran a 4.25 40-yard dash. Yeah, Eric Stokes go fast. And while he does have a great combination of size and speed, and he's very physical, the downsides are that sometimes he's a little too physical and he draws a bunch of penalties. On top of that, I really wasn't impressed with him as a tackler. Really didn't contribute a whole lot in the run game. Now, some of you might be able to look past that and say, okay, you're getting an athlete here with elite speed, and I get that. It just, again, the whole lack of tackling thing, and also just the Packers' run defense in of itself, while it did improve last year, is always a concern for me. This is another round 3 prospect for the Packers. Again, he has some really nice tangibles. He's got the size, he's got the speed, he's got the physicality. It's just, can he be coached up in those other areas? If so, you might have a damn good player here. But let me know what you think down in the comments below. How do you feel about these 5 prospects? Where do you think the Packers should be even drafting a corner? Should they do it in the 1st? Should they do it in the 2nd? Should they do it in the 3rd? Should they not at all and say, don't worry, Kevin King, you got this? No, the answer to that last part is no. But let me know what you think. You can always find me at TomGrossiComedy.com or at TomGrossiComedy, all social media, see down below. Check out podcasts on SoundCloud, iTunes, Google Play Music, Spotify, and of course YouTube. And a big shout and thank you to all the patrons over at patreon.com/TomGrossiComedy and the YouTube members. But thank you so much for watching. I'm Tom Grossi. And as always, go Pack Go.